This is Mary Kay. Today we are painting a robin on pink tree blossoms in the spring. We're doing this on a special inexpensive paper called Masa paper. The Masa paper looks like this. It has a smooth side and it has a rough side. I almost always paint on the rough side, but today I'm going to try the smooth side. You need a water bottle and you need some glue. I water my glue down so it comes gushing out. I traced my robin and the twigs because I want to get the feet on there right, using non-water soluble tracing paper. So the lines are going to show when we're done. They're not going to disappear when we spray it with the water. So you need a backing board. And then I draw a line on there so I know where to put this when I glue it down. So this is a little bit different type of paper to use. So you draw your picture on. It needs to be one that'll stay, or you can just wing it. I used to not even draw anything ever. What I'm doing right now is I'm just spraying a little bit of water on the top and the bottom. I labeled this very small writing here, smooth for white backing board. This is a white backing board. You can smooth this water out a little bit or crinkle it with just the spray. And then I want to crinkle it, I especially want to crinkle it where I'm going to get the background. I don't want to crinkle the birds up so much. So you can just totally just wad this up too, just kind of go like that. And then you let it, then when you bring it out, see it's got these little lines in it, these little bumps, and it breaks the sizing on the smooth side. So this ends up kind of looking like a batik. If you know what that is, it's when you use fabric and wax. There is a way you can use wax on watercolor, but that's a different lesson. So I smooth out a little bit. Now I'm going to get the glue. Remember, I watered this down, so hopefully it's going to come kind of squishing out. You can use your brush to smooth this out, or your finger. I'm going to use my brush, but make sure you rinse it when you're done. Okay, so I don't need to do the outside of the line, just the inside of the line. So I'm just gluing it down with regular glue. So I'm smoothing out the glue, making sure it goes right just over the line, because I don't want the line to show. That's where my mat goes. So I need to make sure I put this piece of paper where the, I don't want the edge of the paper to show through the mat when the mat's on it. Okay, so now I've rinsed the glue out of this brush. That's an important thing to remember. And I'm gonna just set this here and make sure that it's covering up all those lines, and that my little note to myself about the smooth side. And now I'm just pressing out the paper and gluing it down with my hands. And you can make some of these little bumps stay, or you can press them pretty flat. It's up to you. You can try different ways. There's not a right or wrong way to use this paper. I really press these edges down because so many times my paper comes off the sides here. Okay, so I don't see the lines around the edge, so when I put the mat on, it will cover up the edges of the paper. So this is damp now. So what I want to do is I want to paint wet into wet and then leave areas that I'll go back in and put my details. So I'm going to start with a number 10 round. I call this my museum brush or a pencil brush. This one is from the De Young and the Legion of Honor. I'm going to start by just making a little bit of orange for the robin's belly. And I'm going to put that in very softly while it's wet, while it's damp. So to make orange, I'm using pink and yellow. And I'm going to use a little more yellow because it's kind of a orangey pink. And I'm just going to put this on in the belly part here. Looks like I have one long hair. And it's gonna soften a little bit. Just establish that. If I put a little bit more pink in and maybe a little bit of burnt sienna, I can get this shadowy part down here. There's a little white speck in the robin. And I want these crinkles to make the feathers, and I want the paint to sort of blend and paint this painting for me without any work. That's the goal. I think I'll use my little brush to put that little beak in. I'm going to go ahead and just put that little beak in right now. Just pure yellow, bright yellow. It's damp. My paper's damp. Okay, I'm not going to put in the wings or any of that yet. I'm going to put in all my darks at the end. Right now what I'm going to do is go into my background. I see a lot of either cerulean or Antwerp with permanent rose. Oh, not yellow. Gotta get that yellow out of my brush. That might have been a mistake. How did I get so much yellow in my big brush? I don't know, because I was gonna paint something with it. Okay, so now, there we go. I'm just gonna go with Antwerp. I'm gonna start up in this corner. I'm gonna paint with brush strokes toward my branches. See, so it's sort of making its own design just from this. I'm leaving areas that I haven't painted yet. I guess that's obvious. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to put some permanent rose into the Antwerp, and it's going to make a pinkish, mostly pink. I'm going to start down here with that. Now, if I have pink on one side of my branch, I need to have it on the other side of the branch too. And there's lots of blurry. I don't know which water to use because this has yellow in it and that one has glue in it. So, okay, that one worked. So I'm just putting a soft background in, But with all the crinkles, you can see that it just is, I don't have to worry about painting it. It's just painting itself. I'm probably going to make the final blossoms a little bit brighter pink than these white ones, but I do want to have some white in them showing. So this is my background. So the very blurry background is what I put in. So first I put in the golden, or the robin's breast and the beak, and then I put in the very, very blurry background. Next thing I'm going to do is go back to my pencil brush and make brighter pink. So this is damp now. And if I take this brighter pink, and I know where my blossoms are supposed to be because it's the twig stops, and if I just kind of use the side of my brush, or even splatter. Ooh, well, I don't know about the splatter. What I'm doing now is I'm putting in brighter pinks where these blossoms go. And instead of painting each blossom, I'm just painting the colors. I'm going to go with more pink now. So I just barely touch my water, then I touch my pink and rub it in and make a little puddle here. This is wet into wet, so it's blurring. And I'm not trying to paint each blossom. I'm just painting little marks where I know the blossoms are going. And then later on, I'll go in when this is more dry and put in some centers. Not really any leaves when they first come out like this, which is nice. There's one blossom underneath the tail. There's one blossom that kind of goes up over the robin. There's some that follow this branch over here. So that's the second layer. It's kind of the start of these flowers, or the next layer of the flowers. Now I'm going to rinse out that pink, and I'm going to go into the feathers of the robin now. So this is my neutral tint. That is way not brown enough. Okay, I need to go to my sepia. That's so much better. Okay, let me get rid of that neutral tint. It is not a neutral tint day for robins. Okay, that's sepia. I mixed it with a little bit of that orange. Okay, now I'm going to just go in. Now this should still blur a little bit because it's whoops, that was my neutral tint. I'm so used to going into the neutral tint now that I'm forgetting about the sepia. So what I've done in my palette, I put neutral tint right here, and on this side I put the sepia because they're very similar in color. Okay, so here, let's see what happens. How much is it going to blur? So if I leave little white lines in between these black lines, I'm going to get a little look like, oh, it's feathers. This little tail goes behind the branch. Do you think it would look better if it was in front of the branch? It'd be easier to paint. So I'm gonna just make that tail go in front of the branch. It goes down here and then it disappears into the flowers, but that's okay, that'll be easier. Okay, so I'm trying to leave some white spots. I'm not really sure why there's little kind of, I'm not sure what those markings are. I'm not a bird expert by any means. I do think they're beautiful and I love to paint them, but we have some bird experts in Half Moon Bay that are world known. And so I will leave the bird expertness to them. So I'm coming around now. If you want to use your little bitty brush right now, you can do that. I'm kind of shaking because I had a lot of coffee and I get a little nervous sometimes when I'm doing these videos. Hopefully it won't be too messy. And I'm using just the tip of this brush. I think I will go to my littler brush. Okay, so sepia, not neutral tint. Here we go. And then it's bleeding a little bit because it's damp. If this were drier, these marks would be more. See, look at me kind of shake. It's okay though. I want to make it look like feathers, so all I have to do is just leave white. I just added a little bit of that color there to my brush so that I would kind of get this feathery color. I want to leave some white around the eye. And there's little splotches of white around the eye too. And then these feathers have an area that's very light brown. So what I'm going to do while it's wet is just go into this golden color and see what happens if I put it in there. Yeah, works well enough. Right here, those feathers look like that. Now I have some, and then some of that goes right around here. Okay, so, whoops, just went out a little bit. I'm not going to worry about it. And now I need some black in that eye. This I am going to use neutral tint for, straight practically out of the tube. Okay, I'm going to leave a glint in the eye though. I can. There's most of my bird. I do see this little area here is a little lighter. Okay, now the only things I have left to do are put the feet in, put the branch in, and put some details on the flower. So the feet look almost like that reddish brown. So I'm gonna have some pink, I have some burnt sienna, a little more pink. That's a lot pink. Let's put more burnt sienna and a little bit of sepia and see what happens. Well, that's about it. Okay, bird foot color. Here we go. Be very brave. Making this quite dark. Oh, it's very red. Do the robins have that red of feet? I think it's just kind of picking up from the... I don't know where its other foot is. It's tucked up under its chest, I think. And I'm going to make, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my dark tree branches. I'm going to use my number 10 for this. I'm going to use sepia. Just pretty much pure sepia. And I don't want this to be perfect. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look where I want to put my blossoms. I want this to go out the page, but luckily it's not coming out the corner. It's a nice composition. Then there's some blossoms, and then we see the branch which goes behind the bird now. And then on this side it goes in behind, so catching that. So we've got the feathers lighter than the tree branch. And then anytime I have the pink flowers over the tree branch, I don't paint it brown. Remember that tree branches get skinnier as they go out from the trunk, so this part out here has to be the thickest spot. So a little more sepia. Okay, I need to get this branch going up to the foot and out the top. Okay, so I'm going to make this a little more obvious here, that that's going down. And now I'm going to do this branch going up through the foot. It goes right through the foot. And then on the other side, but then it goes behind the bird. And then over here it comes back out. And then what? Just kind of up and out. Skip if I have. I want to make that look like it's a little thicker here where it goes through the foot. I'm going to add a little bit of brown to the foot so it's not so obvious. All right, so that's a little thicker branch. So if that's thicker, then it needs to come. Oops, I went over the, it would have been nice had I left that white and I would have had some pink branch going over that spot. Now I have to make sure it gets thicker as it goes out, because it all has to get skinnier and skinnier. So there's the branch with the foot. That's all there is to it. And now I'm going to either use this brush or my littler brush again. Yes, I don't know, I think I like this one. I'm going to make more pink. I might put a little bit of yellow in it to sort of make it a little bit redder. A reddish pink, yeah. And now I'm going to just paint some centers. You can't see all the centers on these flowers, really, just a few. So I have to pick where I want to put my centers. Here might be a good one. Oh, you know what? I'm going to put a little purple in that. I'm going to put a little bit of Antwerp. I'm not going to switch my blues. If I used Antwerp before, I need to use it again. Oh, that's better, I think. This is kind of a purpley pink, not a reddish pink. Okay, so then if there's that's a flower. There's looks like maybe a flower there. Looks like there's one underneath here, but it's sort of going underneath that. We know that we want a big one here. There's a flower. Some in here. Don't want them all, see, I'm making them all exactly an inch apart. I don't want to do that. I need to put some closer to each other. Now I just made a little square. That's not my best move. Okay, that one's farther apart. That was a good one. Okay, maybe up here now. Go up here now. Okay, so we have some little blossoms coming out. Up here maybe a little bit. Out here we have some. Now I've made all those exactly 2 inches apart. So let me try to fix that. Maybe one even closer. That's better. Out here, here's a big one here. I want to put these not where the white is, but where the dark pink is already. Or maybe where the white is. I don't know. It's up to you. Okay, like that. Now I need to connect some of those with a little bit of sepia, because they're like, this one has a little, the little bud. Oh, that was a thick line though. Too bad. Couple more little, like, they don't have to be going to the centers of these. I'm just suggesting that there's a few little twigs coming out to those branches. And then I need a few more of those. Like here could be one. There could be one here. There's a beautiful one right here underneath the wing. Do I dare? Yeah. Don't want to cut it all exactly in half, so I do need a just a tiny bit of red where that one goes, or the purpley pink. So this one's going to have like a little bud there. And then these guys just need a few, just to suggest that these are all connected with little twigs, little branches. I have that one. Really trying to make it get skinnier as they go out. Does that look good? Am I done? I feel like the beak needs just a little bit of shadowing. I have to be careful I don't get any other colors there. So I like that. Like the eye. I think that's it. There is a robin in the, oh, you know, one thing I'm seeing now that I stood up, not quite done. I like these little, I think it's the stamen. There's these little dots. There's little dots out here. They're very dark though, so let's get the sepia in there. Okay, so there's these little dots on some of these flowers. Like out here on this one, there's little dots. There's a few here and a few there. And then once this dries a little bit, I can decide if I need to do a little more to this. There might be a few dots here. There's some out here. Not every flower has the dots. And then do I need this just a little darker around its face? I think so. Around the eye, around the neck. The head has to be darker. That's sepia. Yeah, that looks better with the darker head. Right up next to the beak. And I think maybe even the tail needs to be a little darker. Yeah, let's do that. that tail stick out a little bit more. We'll put it in front of the flowers too. In front of these, but in front of those, but behind those. Okay, maybe a little more patterning. I think it will read robin though, even without extra patterning in that. Okay, I think that's better. All right, there. Now I'm going to stop.